Understand that there is a difference between training to failure and training to absolute failure. If you are struggling to build muscle and taking your physique to the next level, in spite of doing everything right, you have been dieting hard, eating the right food, training in the gym, and sweating it out in the gym, but still not getting the results you wanted, then you need to listen and consider these 5 things which I'm going to discuss in this video series of 5 common mistakes people make while trying to build muscle and have maximum hypertrophy. Hypertrophy is a scientific term which we use to indicate muscle growth. It simply means the enlargement of the muscle because of the increase in size of its cells. Welcome to the channel, guys. I am Bhaven, your host. I'm an engineer by profession and a certified personal trainer and a sports nutritionist by passion. The most common mistake people make is not training to absolute failure. Understand, there is a difference between training to failure. One more. Good. And training to absolute failure. What is absolute failure? Understand, when you're doing an exercise, there are always 3 movements or 3 contractions of the muscles which are involved. These are called your concentric or the positive movement, isometric or the static, and eccentric or the negative movement or the negative contractions. Right? Let us look at all of these contractions in 3 of the exercises. Right? Whenever you do the bicep curl, right, with a barbell or with a dumbbell, it doesn't matter. When you're lifting the weight up, okay, in this movement, you can feel that your biceps are contracted or it is getting shortened, right? So this movement is called a concentric movement, right? Or the second, let's look at the tricep one, right? So when you're doing cable push down or with the cable, right? When I'm moving the weight down like this, you can see that my tricep muscles are getting contracted, right? So this is your concentric movement in your cable push down, right? The third one is your push-up. When you do push-up, right, on the floor, and when you come up by pushing against the floor, in this movement, your chest muscles are getting contracted, right? So this movement is called your concentric movement in the push-up, right? The second movement, which is your isometric or your static movement, so this is basically the stationary movement of the muscles, right? To give you an example, when you do the bicep curl, right? When I lift the weight up and hold it in this position, normally it is 90 degrees, muscles are 90 degrees of the load, and hold it stationary for some time. So this movement is called the isometric or the static movement, right? For the last one, which is your eccentric movement, this is called the negative movement, right? Negative movement is any movement where your muscles are getting lengthened, right? So to give you an example, like when you're doing the bicep curl, you lift it up, which is the concentric, and then when you're lowering it down, when you're lowering the weight down, you can see that my biceps are getting elongated or they're getting lengthened. So this movement of moving the weight down is your eccentric movement. Now, most of the people what they do is they train to concentric failure. What they normally do, they will have a set of 4, like first 2 sets might be warm-up or feeder sets, the third and fourth are the working sets. They keep on increasing the weight till they can't lift it anymore. So this is concentric failure, right? But remember, your strength is not the same in all the 3 movements. You are strongest in your eccentric movement, followed by your isometric, and then your weakest is your concentric movement, right? So when you finish the set with the concentric failure, you are still having some strength left in your isometric and eccentric movement, okay? So you are missing on those couple of reps on those movements which are very, very important for muscle hypertrophy, right? So next time when you can't lift the weight anymore on your concentric movement, you can take the help of a trainer or a spotter, ask him to lift it on your concentric movement, and then you do your eccentric movement on your own, right? You can take out 1 or 2 reps. Most people don't realize that. You can take out a couple of reps on the eccentric movements because you still have some strength left. So this extra 2 or 3 reps is very, very essential for hypertrophy or muscle growth, right? So you can do that. You do your concentric movement, you are done, completely failed. Ask a help for someone to lift the weight up, do a couple of eccentric movements, and we're completely down and finished. You can ask him to lift the weight and try to hold it stationary for some time. So this is, again, on the isometric movement, you are going to failure. So you are going for failure in all the 3 movements, right? So this will help you in breaking plateaus, right? Especially if you are an intermediate or an advanced bodybuilder trying to build muscle and it seems like you're hitting plateau. This training can really, really help you come out of the plateau, right? But remember one important thing. I mean, you don't have to go to absolute failure in all the exercises, right? 1 or 2 sets of absolute failure in one exercise if you're a beginner, or 2 exercises if you're intermediate or advanced is more than enough, right? Studies and research have shown that if you going to absolute failure increases the recruitment of a higher number of motor units, which basically drives a lot of muscle activation, right? It also helps in protein synthesis in the muscle. But it is not advised to go to absolute failure in all the exercises, simply because you will cause excessive muscle fatigue, which will affect your recovery. Also, another important thing to consider here is nutrition, right? I'm going to do a different video on nutrition, but keep this in mind. I mean, you should not go for absolute failure if your nutrition is all over the place. Nutrition and training needs to go hand in hand, right? You cannot be killing in the gym and eating like a chicken. No, that's not going to help in muscle growth, right? The next point, which I'm going to discuss in the coming video, is about intensity. Intensity is probably one of the most misunderstood concepts while building muscle. So keep watching the series. We will be back with intensity in the next one.